Today we're going to be talking about a subject very near and dear to my heart, and that is improvised weapons. What do I mean when I say improvised weapons? Well, we're talking specifically in terms of force multipliers. In a real life situation, if you don't have something that you can use immediately at your hand, being able to pick up anything that you can find around you and use it as a means to multiply the amount of force that you can create in protecting yourself in a conflict situation. In this example today, we're going to be using a palm stick, which is a traditional training methodology from the Philippines, and basically it's a piece of rattan or bamboo that sticks out just a little bit farther from your hand. And what this is going to do is simulate anything that I can grab in my hand that isn't sharp, or it could be sharp as well. But this could be a closed knife, this could be a pen, this could be my cell phone, this could be an ashtray, it could be a salt and pepper shaker, it can be whatever you can get your hand on. The key to this is learning how to use it efficiently as a weapon on your behalf. This could be your shoes, could be a belt, etc., etc., etc. But today, again, we're going to look at the example of a palm stick. What we're going to be doing with that is we're going to be talking about how to use it to strike, how to use it to attack the attack of your attacker, if that makes sense. We're going to be using it to grip and manipulate somebody, how to grab flesh and use it as a weapon to move somebody around using their nervous system. And the other thing we're going to be doing is learning how to lock somebody up and take them to the ground or force them away from you using pain compliance. So it's a very exciting topic, and why don't we get on the mat and take a look at how to do that. Okay, so we're talking about improvised weapons. Again, here the key here is finding a force multiplier, something that you can put in your hand that will increase or multiply the force that you're able to deliver with a strike. So usually in the street you don't have your Filipino weapons bag with you, so you might be able to find a pen, a phone, you might be able to have a belt. Ladies, you might have a shoe, you might have something else in your purse, a hairbrush, something along those lines. But what we're going to do today as an example is use a short stick that's called a palm stick. And you can see this basically is the same as having my telephone in my hand or even a pen in my hand. Now try to make sure if it's a pen that it's a good stout one, although even this will work, as you'll see in a little while here. So just as an example, we're going to use the short stick because that closely approximates many things that you can get your hand on. Again, a salt and pepper shaker, an ashtray, anything like that will do. Now, I'm just going to show you a couple of things that you can use it as ideas, but the key here again, as always, is you need to get out there and start to experiment with different things. So when we talk about the palm stick, if I start to move, if Lee starts to move on me, sometimes if he starts to punch, all I'm going to do is move away and use the weapon, the tip of that thing, to shatter his hand. Sometimes if he punches, I might hit the end of the hand here. Sometimes I might hit here. Sometimes I might hit here, or I might hit on the inside here. The idea being something short and hard. When I hit, it's going to cause damage and pain to his hand. Okay, so we can hit. I can also use that to hit his face, hit him in the sternum, hit him on the top of the shoulder, hit him in different parts of his body that will cause very painful reactions, okay? More so than just my own hand, with less effort, I might add. The second thing we can do with this thing is I can actually use it to pinch and grab Lee. So sometimes when I teach in terms of deep flesh grabbing or just the surface skin grabbing. Because I have a hard tool to use, it's very easy for me to reach out and grab just the tip of the skin. And then what I'm not trying to do in this case is press against the flat, but use whatever edge I have to pinch. And when I do that, it becomes very easy for me to move a person around because this is extremely painful. Now, not on the forearm, but if you think in terms of grabbing the skin behind the arm, in the back over the kidney, in the chest, in the nipple area on a man, sometimes even the ear, the nose, the cheek. It can be very painful. Okay, you can also do this on the inside of the thigh, the love handle, wherever you know that it's very painful for you to get pinched. That's the area that I want to do this on. The second thing I can do is go into more of a deep muscular grab or deep flesh grab. And a couple of my favorite places are to go into the armpit here and actually get into the meat of his pec and twist, and you can see the reaction comes very quickly, and I don't need to use a lot of power. I can also do this into his bicep. I can do this into the meat of the forearm because I'm using the weapon, again, into the front of the pec. It's very, very painful.
Many different places you can do this. The third thing that I would suggest you start to play with is just kind of a locking motion. How can I use this to grab and hold, and using the hard part of the weapon, whether it's my phone again, or a pen, or a stick, a broken piece of broom handle, you get the idea. As if Lee grabs onto me here, I can just throw this over the top of his wrist. I can grab like so and compress, and you'll see as I roll this down into the bone, it becomes very painful for Lee very quickly. Now I can do this here. I can also do this right across the metacarpals in the hand. It's very, very painful. I can also do this on a single finger and crush the bone. It's horrible, and until you feel this, you won't have a lot of appreciation for it. But as Lee can attest, yes, it's very painful, okay? So again, that might be a case where I don't want to actually inflict damage to them, boom, by hitting him, but I might just want to say, you know, get your hand off me, and put them down to the floor, okay? Or just to elicit a response. Okay, so the idea here is to make anything a weapon for you to use, or anything that you can use as a force multiplier. The only way to become good at that is to just start playing with things, experiment with things. Get ideas and then go out and work them yourself. Get a partner, let them do it to you so that there's a quid pro quo there, and have fun.
Okay, so hopefully that really opened your eyes and gave you some ideas on how you can train. The key with this is that you learn to flow and don't be cognizant of the weapon, be cognizant of attacking your attacker. So I don't want you to be in a place where you have to pick up the weapon, whatever it is that becomes your weapon, and you're focused, your conscious mind is focused on how to use this thing correctly. So we train and we train and we train with different odd objects, if you will, or improvised weapons, so that it becomes natural and your body gets used to picking up something. I don't have to think about how to use that anymore. I can think about my situational awareness, my surroundings, the threat that's in front of me, and all the possible escapes. And the only way to have that freedom of mind is to have your body so comfortable with that weapon that you no longer have to think about it. So I often use the example with my students that when you pick up a weapon, if you are not completely familiar with it and at home with that in your hand, it is now going to detract from or take away from your ability to defend yourself or take care of the situation. It's a very common thing to see someone that's pretty good with, let's say, a single stick in their hand, but if you give them 2 sticks, now their mind is completely split, and you see an actual lessening of their ability to defend themselves or take care of a stressful situation, because their mind is now on these 2 things in their hands rather than what's going on out and around them. So it's the same example that if you bend down to pick something up off the floor, you don't have to think how your hand works. Your hand works the way it works, and you know instinctively, because you've used it so often since you were a little kid, how your hand grips something. You don't accidentally try to grip something upside down. You grip it automatically the correct way. The same thing with a weapon. If you pull off your belt, or if you grab a shoe, you don't have to think about how to use that in a fight. That's too late. You should have worked that out in your training beforehand, so it just becomes a natural extension of your body. A good way to do this is going to be covered in an upcoming video on Numerata training method. And Numerata is a way that we learned to flow around a body, flow around attacks, and just move fluidly, continually responding to an oncoming onslaught of attacks.